Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are looking at the Memorial Tournament for this week. It is a big week in the golf world. Tiger Woods is making his long-awaited return. It's been a long layoff for him. He is priced at $9,000. We have a ton of good golfers returning, so it's going to be a very stacked field. It's going to be pretty interesting to kind of navigate the pricing on Draftkings. A lot to talk about. A lot of good cheap plays as well. A lot of good plays above 9,000 too. Personally, I think there's a lot of ways to go this week, so let's get right into it. Before we get started, I appreciate it. Hit the like on the video and subscribe if you have not already. You can also hit the bell icon to get notified so they can be the first ones to watch when I post. So we'll be starting on DraftKings as always. Another Millie Maker, no surprise. Also, I cannot wait to get back to the NBA videos, which will be back when, in like 2 weeks. And also MLB, I'll be making videos on that. Both sites have Millie Makers, so it's going to get wild. But back to the golf, we have Bryson DeChambeau as your highest priced golfer this week. He is coming off of a win. He has been dominating this year. He has a first, sixth, eighth, third, fourth, second, fifth. He has just been unstoppable in his most recent tournaments. He is 11-1, though, and this is probably one of the strongest fields I have seen recently. You have every big name that you can think of playing in this tournament, and it's going to be a little bit tougher. It's the same place that they played last week, but they're expecting it to play a little bit tougher, the greens to be a little bit quicker. So people are going to have to be sharp with their tee to green game and their putting game. But Bryson looks great at 11-1. If I am paying for anybody above 10,000, though, it's hard to pass up on Rory McIlroy. He is the most, the gifted golfer, I would say. One of the most gifted golfers, the best in the world. You're getting him at 10.7. That is probably one of the cheapest price tags you're going to ever get him at. He is super safe, big time upside. He finally showed a little bit of life against the Travelers. Before that, struggled a little bit in the RBC and Charles Schwab, but you know he's going to make the cut. You know he's probably more than likely going to contend, and I have no problem with Rory McIlroy. Ranking it above 10,000, I would probably go Rory 1, Bryson 2, Justin Thomas 3, Morikawa 4th, and then Dustin Johnson 5th. I like Morikawa still at 10,000, but usually I don't like to go back to a golfer that just won just because he might be a little bit overowned. And I just think that, some golfers, they get on a high after they win. But he is super talented. No problem if you want to play him. But at 10,000, he looks good. But I think there's, so many good plays on this slate that I probably will go with a little bit more balanced lineup because I don't want to take a ton of risk with going with guys below 6,000. Just because it's going to be hard for a lot of these guys to contend with how strong of a field this is. So I think going with the balanced lineup is probably where I'm headed this week. And I think that might start with the first guy. That's going to be Patrick Cantlay at 9,800. I think he should be one of the more expensive golfers. You're getting him at a great bargain. He is a lot more expensive on Fanduel, but on DraftKings at just 9,800 for a guy that is just super consistent. He has done really well at this tournament. He showed a ton of life in the fourth round, was unstoppable. If he even had a semi-good round, like in round 2, or showed a little bit better in round 1 or 3, he probably could have won this tournament again. It's the same place. He won it back last year, 2019. He's just too talented to be under 10,000. I have a ton of confidence in him. And that fourth round showed me that, as long as he can have like 2 rounds like that or put together a better Thursday and Friday, he's going to make another top 10 this week. There are so many good pricings below 10,000, though. You have Victor Hovland, who looks great. He looks to be on a verge of a win. I am just hoping that his ownership isn't super high because he seems to always be high owned, so I never have a ton of interest in him. But you can go with him if you want, but I like Cantlay at just $300 more. You have Decky at 9,400. He's not a guy that I normally play too much just because he gets a good amount of ownership more than likely, and he's just so bad with the putter that he's going to need like a perfect. He's going to need his tee to green game to be perfect more than likely because he's so bad with the putter to make like a top 10. But at 9,400, I guess you could take a shot there. But I have more interest in Xander Schauffele and John Rahm. A little bit more, even Ricky Fowler at 8,800 looks good. He has changed up his putting. He's not doing the cross-handed thing that he was doing, and the last 2 tournaments, he's shown a lot of good things. So he's only 8,800. He could definitely go his way. In the 9K range, I would probably rank it Patrick Cantlay as my first golfer, followed by Victor Hovland second, Xander third, Jon Rahm fourth, uh, probably Decky fifth, Tiger Woods sixth, and then Brooks Koepka seventh. Speaking of Tiger Woods, he is sitting at $9,000 on the books. He is like 25-1 odds to win, which is pretty lower than I thought it would be. But I also thought his DraftKings price would be a lot higher than 9,000. If he ends up being one of the most popular plays on the slate as we get closer to Thursday, I will be not on him just because we don't know. He's been gone for a while, but before he did go on a long break, he was playing very well. But it's just going to come down to how his ownership is. If he tends to be high owned, then I would probably just go with like Xander Schauffele, $200 more, go down to a Ricky Fowler, a Daniel Berger, even an Abraham Answer. This 8K range is absolutely stacked. Justin Rose, absolute disaster last week. He's going to be low owned this week. Nobody's going to want to go back to him after he put up a 10 on the workday. 2 straight missed cuts for him. And the thing that was super concerning was in round 2, he had a 3-putt from 13 feet, which is really bad. Like, that's pretty bad. But then the next hole, he had a 3-putt from 4 feet, which is just unheard of from any type of golfer, nonetheless, Justin Rose. So he seemed to just pack it in. I probably won't go back to him just because he crushed me last week. I like Ricky Fowler more. I love Daniel Berger at 8,700. We're getting a great bargain on him. He is just too cheap. He has been one of the most hottest golfers. I could say he's been a little. I won't fault you if you say he's been hotter than Bryson. I probably would make that argument. A T3 first, T4, T5, T9. He has been racking up top 10 finishes recently. It'd just be at 8,700. He looks good. Also, I'll talk about like some of the important stats to look at. I kind of forgot to do this in the beginning, but if you look at just the tournament last week, the Workday Charity Open, it's the same place, so this is obviously going to be pretty important. But the tee to green, strokes gained, you had Victor Hovland, who looked great. He was in the top 10. Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, both first and second, both in the playoff. So this stat is going to be pretty key, I would say. Even like Decky was good. Patrick Cantlay's here. And then if you look at how the golfers have done for the entire year, you have Rory, looks good. Sergio Garcia might be a little bit sneaky this week. I don't know if he's going to get a lot of love. But Rory, he is the best in this field, or best out of the golfers in this category, which is pretty important for this field. You have Patrick Cantlay sitting 7th, Bryson 6th, Victor Hovland is 9th, Abraham Answer 11th. If you want to, I don't know if Tiger Woods is even on here, but he's not on here. But you have Abraham Answer. Xander as 13th, Daniel Berger 17th. So this is a pretty important category. And then approach the green. If you just look at the workday, you had Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas, both 3rd and 4th, Victor 6th, Decky 10th. So this is also pretty important, I would say, to this week. And the year to date, you have Colin Morikawa leading the field, Justin Thomas behind him. You have some other golfers that I really like. Cantlay 8th, Paul Casey, we'll get to him. Abraham Answer looks very good. Rory sitting at 17th. So those are probably the 2 most important stats that I would look at for this week. And Cantlay and Daniel Berger both look pretty good based on the pricing and based on like important stats for this field. This 8K range is super stacked. That's why I think like you could just fade everybody above like 10,000 and go with a balanced lineup. But Cantlay, Berger are probably my favorites based in their respective price ranges. In the 8K range, if I had to rank it, it would be Berger first, Fowler second, or probably Berger first, Answer second, Fowler third, maybe Woodland fourth, although I hate playing Woodland, and then probably Finau fifth, and then Justin Rose sixth, although it pains me to say. Golfers that I have no interest in this range is going to be like Fitzpatrick. I think is too overpriced with just being flooded with so many good golfers around him. I don't have interest in Jason Day either, even though he looked good last week. Just never know with him. And then the 7K range is also pretty stacked. You have some great golfers here. My favorite in this range is going to be Paul Casey, sitting at just 7,900. He looks very, very good based on like the tee to green numbers and the approach to green numbers. He also hasn't played in a couple weeks, but he looked good after after a long layoff coming back at the Travelers. Made the cut, tied for 32nd, and also in that tournament he could absolutely not putt, and he's a much better putter than that. So hopefully he can be better this week. But Paul Casey's too cheap at 7,900. Other golfers that look great in this range is Ian Poulter. Was very low on last week for some whatever reason, but he was great. I just couldn't. He was just amazing at putting. I think he led the field or was second in the field in putting. I don't know if he can count on that again, but I would go back to him. He's going to be a lot more popular this week, but I don't really care. I still like me some Ian Poulter at 7,600. I would play him over Streelman, although he looked good. I would definitely play Poulter over and Spieth. And then I would say Adam Hadwin at just 7,400 looks to be like a nice, safe, cheap option with some decent upside. You're going to occasionally get like top 10 finishes out of him. More than likely he's going to finish like 20s or 30s, but at only 7,400, I think you can definitely do worse than that. And then golfers below 7,000, if I had to rank any of them, or in the cheap 7K range, I maybe go with Harris English, 7,300. JT Poston, I do not mind him at all at just 7,000. I think he looks pretty good. And then below 6,000, or below 7,000, I guess you could not have a ton of interest in anybody. The two that I might consider is Max Homa, 6,800, and Lanto Griffin at 6,800. But right now, I like Cantlay, Berger, and Casey the most, and then I would probably consider going with like maybe Poulter in that 7K range. If you want to go up a little bit in the 8K range, maybe go with Answer, and then you have 500 left. Plenty of good options in 7K range, which I mentioned, like Doc Redman, Horschel, Hadwin, Poulter, English, Kevin Na is like a GPP play. You don't want to play him in cash because of the back. Joel Damon will be the super leverage play. Nobody's going to want to play Joel Damon this week. And that's pretty much it in Poston. So that's it for the video for the DraftKings side. Then I will just quickly touch on the Fanduel plays. They're pretty much similar just because I play basically what I play on DraftKings on Fanduel if I can't fit in the pricing. Okay, on Fanduel, some similarities. Bryson is the most expensive golfer at 12,000, followed by JT, Rory. Cantlay is a little bit more expensive at 11,600. Not saying that I wouldn't play him on Fanduel, but he's obviously going to be like on DraftKings. He's probably one of the first guys I would plug into cash. FanDuel, with there being so many great golfers, he's in the mix, but not sure if he will make like my top 5 favorite golfers. Just because I probably go with a similar balanced approach on FanDuel, just because there's so many good golfers this week. And I probably will start it with like a Daniel Berger at 10-2. I don't know why he's so cheap. He's been super good. His numbers across the board are great. He's a super a competitive golfer. If he's in the hunt, he's going to like play hard. I would say every hole. So he's like super safe on FanDuel. I like him a ton. You have Tiger sitting at 10-6. Once again, it's going to come down to ownership for me. If nobody's on him, I would play him. If he gets talked up a lot and people are all over him, we know golf. You fade the chalk because anything can happen really. And if a guy has it one day, he might not have it the next day. So it's like a week-to-week thing, unless you're like one of the elite golfers, which he can be at times, which he is at times. But I love Berger at his price at 10-2. This 9K range is also super strong on FanDuel, starting with Abraham Answer at 9,900. And then you also have like Paul Casey sitting at just 9,600, who I think looks great. And then you have like Poulter at 9,300. You have Hadwin at 9,200. Still have 10-1 left for this. You have plenty of good options. Benny Ann, 91. And then under 8,000, under 9,000, probably would just consider like JT Poston. And then if you want to get super, if you like punishing yourself, maybe Joel Damon at 8,300. And I don't know if I'll go super much cheaper than that because I will probably go with a balanced build. But Berger, Answer, Casey are some of my favorites. And then I would probably finish it out with going to be tough. But maybe just go with like Ian Poulter, just because he was great last week, and call it a day. So that's it for this week. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. You can leave a like if you did. You can check out the Twitter. It's at the DFS Process. Check out the website if you want. Links in the description. And good luck this week.